After Hours.
On this episode of the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast, we discuss the beatdown hardcore band known as Bury Your Dead. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurviveByPro for news and latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. If you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment, tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast, where each and every episode I, Curtis, sit down with my good friend and avid listener to the History of the Chorus podcast, Erik. Erik, how's it going, buddy?
It's, Christmas, I guess. I don't know. That's what
He's got the tree up.
Christmas tree.
He went into the forest,
Anti-Christmas tree,
forest, and he found the rare spotted red Christmas tree. And he said, that's the one. I must have it.
That's the one for me.
Regardless of what birds are calling it home, it is mine now.
I brought it home. Stuck in my living room. Squirrel and all.
Yeah. It's winter's here, buddy. Winter is definitely here.
Icky and cold out there.
It is icky and cold. Today is it's not as cold as it has been. Some of the days this past week, but icky. If it's cloudy in the wintertime and it's kind of misty on you, no bueno. No bueno. But you know what? Before you know it, it'll be summer and 100 degrees again.
And we'll hate every second of it.
And we'll hate it. We'll be begging for this weather again, man. Okay, so usually we like to put a band at the beginning of every episode in Erik's spotlight, but we're changing it up a little bit today. We're still
I've
doing
got
the
a question
spotlight.
for Curtis.
Oh, you've got a question? Okay, let me hear it. Let me hear the question, Erik.
So I ran across this article here a couple days ago, and Gene Simmons said, rock and roll is dead. Apparently he came back and said it again in article I was reading from just a couple days ago, actually. And do you think, Curtis, rock and roll is dead?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think it is. I mean, we'll break it down a little more about like what he's saying and everything, but I don't think it's dead. I think it's adapted to the times, And I'm sorry because basically from what I read from the article, he's taking it from his perspective of, I was in a big rock and roll band back in the day that still does, world tours and, Madison Square Garden type stadiums. Not everybody's trying to go for that, dude. And on top of that, that's not what it is now, because there's so much that you can do in your own bedroom, recording wise. You don't have to have the money to go do a big studio and a big producer and everything. So I think it's very skewed of like how he's looking at it, because he's looking at it from what he did in his band back in the day. Nobody's trying to do that anymore. Maybe a few people, but most of the population in a rock and roll music or whatever subgenres are coming from that are not trying to do that. They're playing music because they want to play music, man. I don't think
he always
most of them
asks
want to
this
get rich
question.
off of it.
Yeah. He always asks this question to interviewers when he says this. Well, who's the new Beatles?
Yeah.
Do you want my real answer on that, or do you want me to, play around with your delusion? Because I think the real answer is going to be some major pop artist. You want the real answer? It's probably Taylor Swift.
We know who. Wow,
popular.
I don't think they ended up being, but there was. Remember, at one point they thought was it Greta Van Fleet was supposed to be the new Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
of course, they sounded almost just like them, but yeah,
carbon copy.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just don't think that. I just think it's a terrible take. And I said to you earlier, it's like, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but sometimes, like, you don't need to say it. And I don't know why. What's he even gaining from saying that? Nothing but just getting people to hate him even more, you know?
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
I
he might
don't
be
know.
playing to his fan base. You know, a lot of these old guys going, "What is this crap playing on the radio? Oh, what is
Right.
this? I don't even Slippy Knot stuff. What is that? That's not rock and
Slip
roll."
in a knot? Why would I slip in a knot? Yeah, I just stupid, man. I mean, you kind of going off what you were saying about the Beatles comment just a moment ago. I think there was a couple of times where he was saying if you walked up to somebody on the street and you asked them, name me a member from Pearl Jam or whatever, they wouldn't be able to do it. It's like, well, who cares? You know,
Right.
I mean, if you like Pearl Jam, then you might know who the members are. If you don't, I mean, if you still like them, you may not know who the members are. Well, it doesn't matter, you know. That's why you have
I
the
feel
History of the
like
Chorus podcast to tell you
right.
who those members are and who replaced those members and who replaced those members, you know?
Exactly. I feel
Yeah.
like it's the same type of attitude that when you walk out of the street and there's some random girl wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt and you go, "Name 3 songs from your band on your shirt."
Right. Yeah. Now
Okay. That's
that did pop up in my mind when he said that. And I was thinking, okay, I
yeah.
mean that's a totally separate topic though that we've talked about before of okay, should you really be wearing a band shirt that you don't really know who they are or their music? Yeah, that's something totally
I
different.
mean,
But
yeah, but still, the idea that, well, I like said band, I like some of their music, doesn't mean I have to know their members.
right, exactly. Yeah,
In fact, most of the
no,
bands that I listened to this year, which is a good amount of different kind of bands, uh,
stay tuned on the next
hundreds.
episode for his
Yes, next
Spotify
episode, well, I'll give
round.
you exact numbers on that because it's considerable. But anyway, I don't
Right,
know half that it's, or even half. Forget it. I mean, 98% of them, I probably don't know a member or two, maybe.
right.
And that's just the way it is today. I
Or where
think
they're from or
to
yeah.
right, I do some of them anyway, but I think my response to what I was reading, I was like, I think it's not dead. It's healthier than it ever has been. I've got more choices. I got more chances because he names, let's read a couple here. He names bands like, oh, we got Elvis, the Beatles, the Stones, Hendrix, Pink Floyd. You know, during that time in that era, what did you have outside of that? You had bands trying to copy that.
Right.
And sure, you get into our subgenres, like I'm wearing my Under Oath shirt today. Yeah, little shout out. Really good show, by the way. But they started a subgenre, and there's 27 different bands that sound exactly like them with a little bit of extra flair, or no flair, or whatever.
Right.
That's all you had though, was that one. If you liked rock and roll, you got rock and roll that sounded just like band X, Y, and Z. That's all you got. So I feel like the diversification of it is not a bad thing. It's not watering anything down. You're getting more because my favorite band's not your favorite band. It's not your favorite band, you guys out there. And I think that's a good thing instead of everybody's favorite band being the Beatles, Elvis. So
Right.
that was my
Yeah.
big rant on it was like, no, it's better than ever because we have all of this.
Right. And the
Now
other
we can
thing too
find
with
or you're dead
right. The other thing too
or
with that
whatever.
is like I mean, think about some of the people that were influenced by like the Beatles, Elvis, stuff like that. That's a new generation. And then that generation influences another generation, so on and so forth. So in a way,
Yep.
it's like it's still all connected. Now it's not going to sound copycat because we don't want that. I don't want copycats, man.
No.
We still have some copycats in music, and that's just not good, man. You need to find your own little niche in your own little corner, but I'm with you. I think it's healthy. It's more healthy than what it used to be because it's not down to a select few. It's anybody can do it, and that's brought out more good things for people to listen to and be able to enjoy, you know.
Well,
So,
and I was arguing this with somebody else, and I was saying, at one point in time, you had what the record company wanted you to hear. That was it. That's
right.
all you got.
Mhm.
And now you jump on YouTube, and I found several bands this way, a couple this year, in fact, that I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty good. Let me jump on somewhere else and listen to the crap out of them. And I found a couple of my favorite bands through the years doing that. And you know, starting out with like Courage My Love was one of the first ones I found on YouTube way back in the day.
Way back in the day.
15 years ago or something, but
Right.
Anyway, but and just going from there, I've been listening to them, their first album anyway, because that's all I knew about for a long time.
Right.
But that's, compared to the way you used to be able to hear about them. Well, they showed up on Soul Train. That's how I know about them, obviously. They showed up on the late night show, Johnny Carson.
Soul Train.
So media has changed, and I think it's for the better because you can find what you want.
Right.
Or if I've got you guys say, hey, go check out this band, that band. Okay, I can just plug it in and find it.
There's more
Versus,
avenues.
Can I just hear it on the radio? Maybe, hopefully. Okay, I'll listen to the radio for 10 hours and just kind of hope it shows up.
Right. Which, if you're doing that, then that goes back to like what you're saying with the record company. It's a very select few of people that get selected for that. It's like, so. Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I think it's
we're in agreement.
Get with the time, old man.
Come on, old man. It's he's very get off my lawn right now.
Yes, that's kind of where I'm feeling. It's a lot of gatekeeping is what I feel like.
Yes,
and
yeah.
We've talked about it before. Let's stop the gatekeeping. You like black metal, that's cool. If you like death metal, that's cool. If you like breakdown hardcore, that's cool. Stop gatekeeping.
Right,
let people like what they like.
Yep.
Just because they can't name one person from the band does not mean they don't like the band. Quit gatekeeping.
Okay.
Open the gates.
Let me ask you. Open the gates. Let me ask you a question, Eric. What if they like Taylor Swift?
That's fine. They're entitled to their own crappy opinions.
Oh, nice backhanded compliment. Oh man! All right. Yeah, that was a good one. I thank you for bringing that one up because we needed to talk about that for sure. That's just yeah. Get off my lawn.
That caught me.
Get off my lawn.
I was like, oh man. This is like a guy from like a band you think you would respect because he's been in the business a long time. People have talked about his business prowess for years. Like the Kiss branding that they did. You can't find a band that's done that better. And, being that you see those four faces and you still go, oh, I know exactly that band. I can name 3 out of 4 of the guys even. And then, they've done a wonderful job keeping themselves up there, selling that stuff through the years. I'm not dogging on that at all. It's just his take on it's really old school. And I don't think we're dead, dying, or even in pain. I think we're better than ever.
It's on life
he's
support.
Over there in the corner going, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
I can't live in this world. What's the? I always forget. What's the male version of a Karen? What do they call him?
Darren.
Darren. Jeez, Gene, quit being a Darren.
Ooh,
yeah. Burn. Hey, let's talk about one of these bands that's alive and healthy. Well, I don't know if I want to say that they're alive and healthy. Well, yeah, I don't know. They're still around. That was kind of a bad intro. Let's talk about the band known as. Let's talk about the band known as Bury Your Dead. I'm going to start off with a non-traditional question here, Eric. Did you bring your shovel today? Because we got some dead bodies.
I left it out in the garage.
Oh man. Okay, we'll get to that later on. The bodies can wait. We can bury our dead later.
Okay,
all right. As always, like to start off every episode as always, with the same 2 questions. Starting with, how were you, Eric, introduced to the band known as Bury Your Dead?
I'm pretty sure I've known this name a long, long time. I don't know if it's you, Josh, whoever, other friends in the old friend group, but I just never had time to give them a chance.
Maybe the Victory Records avenue, because that's how we both. Me and Josh
that's
were
very
saying
likely.
That's how we knew him, was just kind of through Victory Records back
those
in the
old
day.
DVDs,
Right, exactly. Yep.
They would pass those things out, and it's like, oh man, I got to try out a new band.
Oh shoot! Sampler, free sample, free sampler, free sampler. Yeah, the old lady down at the Walmart handing out free Victory Records samples on toothpicks.
Oh man,
how am I supposed to play this CD? You just broke it with the toothpick. Okay, you listen to the discography. How would you describe Bury Your Dead to a brand new listener, Eric?
For the most part, I'd call it hardcore. I guess you could call a little bit of it kind of that breakdown core too. Hardcore and breakdown core do kind of fall hand in hand, and it depends on the song, that kind of thing. There's a certain section of their discography that kind of bleeds a little bit into that melodic hardcore, almost maybe metalcore. But as a whole, we can call it hardcore.
Yeah, yeah. As a broad, yeah, just hardcore.
Very broad brushstrokes.
Because they throw that beat down hardcore, which I'd never heard of until doing Bury Your Dead. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting genre name. Beat down
Does it go
hardcore.
with the gang ties that we talk about later? Or?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know, man.
Ooh,
Possible.
Little dig.
All right, well, there's 3 vocalists that appear on Bury Your Dead albums. There's Joe Kruko, who comes in as their beginning vocalist. He's on their debut album, You Had Me at Hello. Then you had Matt Brusso, who's the more hello. Then you had Matt Brusso, who's more of their well-known vocalist. He was on Cover Your Tracks, Beauty and the Breakdown, Mosh and Roll, and We Are Bury Your Dead EP. And then finally, you had Mike Terry kind of in the middle of the discography there, more on that melodic side that you were mentioning earlier, because he was on their self-titled album and the album It's Nothing Personal. Listening to all 3 of those vocalists, Eric, tell me the styles that you hear and the differences between the 3.
So Joe Kruko, where we started here, is pretty low. It's very guttural sounding. Not a lot of shown range. It's pretty much all lows. I don't want to call it flat, but almost to a point of being pretty flat as far as you get one tone. I hope you like it, because that's what you're going to get. Mixing in
and
some
if you don't, I don't
yells.
care.
Yeah. He does mix in some yells here and there. From several episodes ago, the horse barking might apply here. Yeah, a little bit. Let's see. Mike Terry, more of our melodic fellow. His low, like, uncleans, again, pretty guttural. Lots of yelling in his style. It's almost like pseudo group vocals going on, the way he kind of dubs over himself, or I don't know if it actually is group vocals, but
being a hardcore band, I would assume it probably would be.
I don't even know though. It almost sounds like he's dubbing himself, but I'm not in the recording studio, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is the one that I think you and Josh were talking about. It reminds me a little bit of Slipknot or Disturbed, maybe some Killswitch Engage in there. And that kind of mixes in his cleans and uncleans, depending on who you're talking about there. But yeah,
even like
not my favorite amongst the 3.
There was times like musically on It's Nothing Personal that was like, okay, it kind of sounds like Slipknot. I mean, like, because when he first comes in on self-titled, I was like, okay, yeah, there's a couple of times vocally that I'm like, he sounds like he's trying to imitate Corey Taylor and in kind of that yell barking type voice or whatever. And then, like I said, when you get to It's Nothing Personal, it's like there's a couple of songs where it's like the music kind of slows down and it's like, okay, am I listening to Slipknot Light? What are we doing here? You know?
Well, I can't remember what album it was on, but it was one of Mike Terry's that I was straight up going, did the album end? And we switched over to some Disturbed song that I don't know.
Yeah, one of those. I was like, wait, did you go on to shuffle?
What happened? Oh, no, it's not. It's still them.
Right, yeah.
So that's why I included Disturbed, because from the guitar to the vocals and everything else really hit me as, well, that sounds like Disturbed. Whoa, okay.
Right.
So, and it's, I mean, it's a flavor. If you like that flavor, that's cool, but it's just not exactly what I like personally.
Same here. Yeah, same here.
Kind of sounds like you and Josh are on the same boat, but
yeah,
I mean, if that's your thing, whatever. But
come on in, Eric. There's plenty of room.
Oh, good, because I'm here with you.
we're in one of those like the tandem paddle boat or whatever, where you pedal with your feet. You'll just have to sit on the front of the boat, but don't try to like rock too much because I don't want to tip over. The swan, like the
I'm on
swan
this
boats
boat.
or
I'm not
whatever.
rocking. Yeah.
You can hang on to the swan's neck on the front.
Oh boy.
uh, and I hope you
Da-da-da.
don't mind. A lot of times we end up getting out in the middle of the lake, and then we end up just like spinning in a circle because he's going one way and I'm going the other way. Yeah. Most of the
Yeah.
time we agree on stuff, but
Some days.
anyway.
So what we
Okay.
got? Matt Brusso's left.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about Matt. Yeah.
Don't forget about Matt. I kind of like Matt.
Yeah, well, you
Uh,
you kind of did it like weird because you went from Joe and then skipped over to Mike
I
and then I
know.
forgot
Yeah.
about Matt. Yeah.
I went out of your order. I had to go
Oh
learn
no,
my own way.
you're all good. Yeah, no, you're all good.
So his lows are actually kind of like As They Lay Dying and Pending Doom esque. Not
Okay.
100% like, note for note or anything, but it's in that kind of sound. It's more like in the chest, the diaphragm screams versus the
Yeah.
gutturals.
Yeah.
It's a little less throaty anyway.
It's more
Um,
that hardcore flavor.
Definitely they mixed in with that choppiness of hardcore versus the
Right.
flowiness of As I Lay Dying or Impending Doom's a little more flowy, not
Right.
much in some cases, but definitely more hardcore than those two. But still mostly lows, but I do think that comes with the territory of kind
Yeah.
of your hardcore, breakdownish
Ugh.
core,
Say it
beat
with your
down
chest.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's just
Flex
kind
your
of what you
muscles
get
that you
there. There's a
do
lot
it.
of
Yeah.
lows.
Right. Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay, I'm not skipping over anybody else, right? You said all three.
Just the three, right? Yep. Yeah.
Oh man.
Then there's
Yeah. I mean,
Curtis.
there were.
He did this one song with them, and
I did. I was the guy in the background on Mosh and Roll going, woo!
woo!
Oh man.
Do the
Speaking
sprinkler
of
dance.
Mosh and Roll, yeah, exactly. Speaking of Mosh and Roll, let's talk some theme songs here, Eric.
Woohoo!
Normally when you're talking theme songs, you're talking about a TV show, a movie, etc. But where you don't normally find them is in bands. Bury Your Dead creates their own, which appears on several albums under the song titles Mosh and Roll and Losing It. Now, I ask you, Eric, because me and Josh both enjoyed this. We thought it fit them, it fit the genre.
Mhm.
Should more bands look into creating their own quote unquote theme songs, much like Bury Your Dead has done?
I do think in a broad way. Now, bear with me for a minute. This is very broad.
In a
Uh,
broad space way, not on Broadway.
Not on Broadway. No. They have their own themes. But anyway, yeah, in a broad space way, they do have a lot of bands do have theme-ish songs for themselves. You know, uh, it's that song that you write. You know, it's going to do good. You really lean into it,
For sure, yeah.
and
Like
you're
that to
expected
me
to play
though,
it at every show.
yeah.
That now
But wouldn't that
this
be
is a
more
little
of a
bit different.
signature though? I would think
Yeah,
that more as a
but
signature song.
I'm thinking more to like when you name your own song after yourself,
Right.
kind of like Jeebity. Give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on. I can't think of
Seconds
my own
over.
questions. um, Bad Company. You know, they wrote their song "Bad Company." That is
Oh,
the name of
that's
their
who
band,
wrote
Bad
that. Okay.
Company. Ah,
All
so
these years I didn't know.
I almost feel like that's like their theme song. It doesn't
Right.
go, album after album, but I would expect if I go to see them even today, which I don't even know if they're still touring, but I would expect to hear that song because that is like their song.
Well,
I
according to
mean,
Gene Simmons, they've been killed because of rock and roll is dead these days.
oh, that's
So
right. Yeah,
they have no
I forgot.
avenue, right? Yeah. I,
But
I
anyway,
just
in a sort, there are bands that it's kind of their signature, their theme
right.
ish. But that being said, I realize this is different. I think it's pretty cool. I probably don't listen to enough hardcore to say I don't see that enough because there might be more of it in the hardcore scene. I don't know.
I think we could only really think of like one other band that really kind of had something kind of like it, but not exactly like a song.
Right.
But it really just kind of fit the genre because of the the like crowd vocal type stuff going on. It's like it's something that you can
Right.
connect with the fans and they can sing along with you, you know. So
Yeah,
I'm sure there's still
exactly.
people out there singing, Bad Company along with Bad Company, but
Right.
this feels different from something like that though. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't
I
I
mean,
don't know if it would fit everything, like every genre. Because I think then, like, kind of going off what you're saying
no,
with like Bad Company, it still works, but it's not the same. And that's why I was kind
I
of
wouldn't
saying
want
like
them
a
to
signature
re-record that.
song, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
almost
if
feel
they
like it's
re-recorded that, that gets into that uncreative category, and
right,
I'm not here for that. Like that would just feel kind of like you just didn't have any other
right.
songs, you just did that one.
And with
Okay,
this, it feels like you can. I mean, it's a guarantee. It's like, all right, well, we know what we're going to either start our show with or end our show with, you know.
right,
So, and fans know it's coming, and they're going to get hyped for it. So,
right,
I think it's
absolutely.
pretty cool.
So it is
But
weird, and I like it. That's probably why I like it. It's because it's weird. At
right,
least
I
to
think
me,
we
like
were
like I said, I don't listen to enough hardcore to really tell you like absolutely
right.
this is the only time I've ever heard of somebody doing it in this way.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I like it. I like the idea behind it.
I think we were starting to kind of think of some like if other hardcore bands would do it too, but like using their name. I don't know. I can't remember if we were doing that or not, but anyway, I just think it would kind of be funny if people just copied it and pasted it like that, just throw their name in there. Anyway,
Hmm.
all right, let's talk about some albums here, Eric. Let's get down to the meat. Let's get your
Ooh,
opinions here. Starting
yummy
off
meat.
with the debut album, "You Had Me at Hello," an album described by Josh as a quote good base or foundation, and full of quote a lot of really cool riffs. Following that is 2004's Cover Your Tracks that distributed a sound described by a reviewer as, quote, feels like a bat between the eyes. Mm. Also saying it felt like, quote, a gang of thugs is assaulting them on all sides. And full of, quote,
Eat down.
Cookie Monster vocals and blast beats. Finally, we
Mm.
come to finally we come to what me and Josh described as peak Chef's Kiss, Bury Your Dead, 2006's Beauty and the Breakdown, which is just a beautiful album title too, man, which I think fits the genre. Beauty and the
Absolutely.
Breakdown
Yep.
that sees the band stay true to what got them this far while blending some metalcore elements inside. Now, Eric, with all that, give me your thoughts on the first half of their discography.
So I kind of broke it down because there's a
Okay.
little bit to say about every one of these albums.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Um, Had Me at Hello. Really love the riffs. Love the guitar tone. What'd y'all say? It was like a 7 or 8 string that they're using on this.
Um, I don't know.
I mean,
Was he
it's
talking about that? I don't
low.
know. Well, I will say there were several times on the two-part episodes that we were getting like talking about other bands at certain points. So
Oh, that could be.
I'm
Anyway,
wondering if maybe if he was talking about Amir at that point, but
it
yeah, I
could
don't
be, but at the same time, I think it's possible that they'd have
know. Okay.
multiple things
Okay.
like that. And if it's not, it's tuned to exactly drop
Stick
Z
tuning.
flat.
As low as you can get.
It absolutely just chunky. You know, it's a warm tone, but it's crunchy. I
Right.
like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Crunch.
So
Taste the crunch.
a little warm, little crunchy. Ooh, yes. And we already talked about Joe's vocals on that, so it's a good first album. It's a solid base, to start from there.
Right.
Cover Your Tracks. Riffs are still good, still very solid. Tone of the guitars overall similar. I think they might have cleaned it up just a hair. It's not as muddy as that first album.
Correct. Yeah, I think so too.
Uh, Drums are still buried way down in the mix somewhere. And at this point, it's almost a little unfortunate because they kind of tone it up in the drum department, it feels like. There's a lot of double bass and stuff like that. And I just wish I could kind of feel it. And
Well, I need to feel it in my chest, man. Ugh.
thump, thump, thump. And it wasn't hitting as hard as it could if they would have, mixed that tone a little bit more. But
Right.
still a good album. Not gonna kill him for that.
What do you before you move on? What do you think about the song titles, the theme, and it shows up on the next one too? But on Cover Your Tracks, you got all Tom Cruise movie titles.
I mean, that's kind
Not
of
really
cool.
sure.
I mean,
Not really sure what the affinity is with that, or affection.
if you like somebody
That
like that, do
I
it.
guess
Why
so,
not?
man. Yeah,
I think it's
and of
cool.
course, yeah, Beauty and the Breakdown has like fairy tale references with theirs, but
Right. And
yeah,
then that fits the album too, like Beauty
right,
and the Breakdown, Beauty and the Beast.
exactly, yeah,
You know,
exactly,
I think
yep,
that's kind of fun.
right.
But musically on Beauty and the Breakdown, still very solid guitar tones. Every aspect we've discussed so far, very good. It does have some softer spots that aren't as heavy. The breakdown, chug a lug a lug nonsense that we get.
That's the beauty
Um,
in Beauty
the
and the
beauty
Breakdown.
of the breakdown um, rounds out a good era for them too. Like you
I
said,
think
Piece de
so.
Resistance, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we'll talk about that later. But
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we both just kind of felt like this was kind of the sweet spot looking at it overall. We
right,
liked some of the newer stuff that's coming out, like especially on the EP, but it did feel like it was kind of going towards a metalcore genre, and we can talk more about
mm,
that here in just a moment.
yeah,
But I wanted I make mention to you on this because I said it to Josh, but that intro on the first song on Cover Your Tracks, I can't remember what it's called. Vanilla Sky, maybe. I can't remember. Anyway, um, it's the very first track. It's it's like the very beginning of it just like comes in with the double bass and the guitar is like dun, 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 and then it comes back in with the music, but it's like it's a totally separate song. And I told Josh, I was like, I'm just like curious. I like it, but I was just very curious of like what was that and why, you know? And I didn't know maybe if you had any thoughts on that too, but I think that's just kind of like, me taking, that tech class before of production work, and it's just kind of interesting to hear some of that stuff. And you're like, oh, I wonder what was going through their mind of like why they did that.
right,
But
yeah, yeah. Being with you in uh, that room, mixing stuff for a minute. I know this much about mixing.
right.
I
Yeah.
do know what I like, and I like a good even mix as a whole. I don't want to hear, skyrocketing bass. Just that's all I hear. I'm not Megan Trainor. I'm not all about the bass, but I do want to hear it. I need it in there somewhere. I don't want it drowned out. I will say I don't know if I wrote it on here or if it was in my initial notes. Like that first couple albums, I kind of see why the guitar was at the top of the mix because it's the star. That tone is so good. I really, really love that tone.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
can
and I
see why
think
you want
in
to exemplify it. I mean, it's great.
right.
So let's put it
There's
up there.
Yeah, there's a big emphasis in hardcore of like obviously the vocals, but I
Right.
think definitely guitar. And I know you probably say, well, that's across the board, but I feel like a guitar is a good driving force in hardcore though, with the riffs and everything like that. So,
Right.
but I do hear what you're saying too, of like the drums do feel like they're kind of getting buried in those first couple of albums,
And
and
if
especially
you tune in a little bit, you can hear a lot of double bass kicking.
right.
And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
yes, I need to feel it, but
I
it's
need to
just so far
feel it.
down, you can't feel it without blowing your eardrums.
Right.
So
All right, well, let's move on to the second half of the discography. But before that, Eric, I've got a trivia question for you, buddy. One and only one for this episode. Are you ready?
East Coast hardcore.
Close, close. No.
Oh
All right, here's
man.
your question. Founding member, excuse me, let me back up. Here's your question.
Uh,
Founding member and drummer Mark Castillo would record drums on what band's album, The Silent Circus?
you had to
Mm-hmm.
go and ask because my brain just totally fell out.
Mm-hmm.
See
Mm-hmm.
it? It's down there.
It's on the floor. Oh, it's crawling
It
away.
just
It's inching away.
golly.
This would have
Bury Your
been
Dead didn't have a
2000.
Silent Circus.
Do what?
Bury Your Dead didn't have a song or an album, Silent
Oh.
Circus.
Uh, yeah,
Golly.
this would have been in 2003 is when that album came out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Care to venture a
This is one of
guess?
those. My brain has
I think
just totally
I think you'll
flatlined.
be. Yeah, I mean, I
It's
think
right there, and I'm like, I just can't produce it.
I think you'll kick
Anyway,
yourself once you hear it.
Yeah, let me feel dumb. Let's have it.
All right, buddy. We're just about to. We're going to talk about this band on the next episode. It's Between the Buried and Me.
Yes. I had
Yep,
too
it's
many
their
burieds
sophomore
going in my
album.
head, and I was like, "Bury Your Dead." No, that's not Bury Your Dead.
Yeah,
Bury.
that's why. That's why I was like, "What did you say?"
Yeah.
Um.
That's what was
Yeah. So
trying.
there's
That was
that.
what was doing back here in the wheels.
Right. So there's that period right after You Had Me at Hello that they broke up for just a little bit. And during that time is when Mark joined Between the Buried and Me and recorded The Silent Circus and then left them, came back to Bury Your Dead because they were restarting again. Which is funny. It's not in our notes here. We're not going to really talk about it. But I told Josh, it was funny to me that when they got back together, their bassist at that time had texted everybody and was like, "Hey guys, I really think we should give this another go. I really want to do this. We should give it a proper go this time." They're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And they all get back together. They record Cover Your Tracks, and he's like, "All right, I'm out." It's like, "What? Wait a minute, bro! You were the one that wanted to do this."
Nope,
So,
y'all are trash.
anyway.
I'm out.
Yeah, he's like, "Nah, this sucks. I don't like it anymore."
Never
Oh,
mind.
he's like, this is why we broke up in the beginning.
Makes sense.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of here, man. All right, let's talk about the second half of the discography. Here's where things change. Starting with their self-titled album, which features new vocalist Mike Terry and a push more towards melodic hardcore / metal. Quickly following that up with 2009's It's Nothing Personal, showcasing more of a commercial sound, or as I would describe it, Slipknot light, or as you kind of mentioned earlier, maybe a little Disturbed-esque type stuff in there. And then you have Mosh and Roll, which would see the return of vocalist Matt Brusso and the return to the sound that brought the band success in the first place. Where'd I go? I just lost my place. Oh, here we go. Finally, in 2019, the band would release the EP We Are Bury Your Dead, giving the fans hope for a new album, the first since 2011. We're still waiting on that. Give me your thoughts, Eric, on the second half of the band's discography.
All right. Let's see. Self-titled. Overall, the sound has trended softer, even if slightly-ish at this point.
More structured, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that might be a word for it too. And new vocalist, got some new ideas. The whole thing's more melodic. Get a taste of those clean vocals, which is kind of weird. When I first hit that, I was going, did I hear what I thought? Huh?
Start checking again. Wait, where are we on shuffle again?
What happened? Yeah.
What's happening?
So Nothing Personal, even more melodic, even more cleans. Yeah, let's just go back and reference what I said earlier about the vocalist. So there you go. Don't need to poop on him too much. He does his own thing in his own style.
Right,
Whatever.
yeah.
Just probably not for this kind of band, honestly, where we've already got a foundation. Go do something under another name.
How many times have we talked about the vocal change is the hardest thing to like adjust in a band?
And when you do it 3 times, that's rough.
That's tough, man. Yeah.
So. I mean, even if you take out the first guy, like, because the first guy, the first album, you can work around that change.
Right. Yeah.
But then another change and then another change back. Oh, that's kind of rough.
That's tough, man. Yeah.
So then we get to Mosh and Roll, which is a slight return to the old style, maybe a little bit more than slight, Pretty still, it goes back to the roots, put it that way.
Yeah.
Even the guitar tone on this one feels better than the last 2 albums did. A little bit closer to that early guitar tone. I will say on this one, the F-bombs feel rather excessive. We've talked about it before. Like, Senses Fail is always my example. I don't know if it's the best example or not, but it's my example. I feel like they do a good job, when they cuss, they mean something. It's rare and it means something when
there's
they say
emotion.
It. I mean, it's not rare, but
right.
Yeah, there's a little oomph behind it. Whereas, you get into Silverstein, the first time you hear them cuss and they're talking about, was it Aquamarine, I think was one of the first ones I heard
I think
anyway.
so, yeah.
And on their main albums, they had some early stuff. It was released anyway. I didn't get it when I was younger till later years, and it just sounds so forced and pushed, and it doesn't mean as much because it's like, ugh, like, going back to my quote from iRobot, I think it was, quit cussing. Why? You do it all the time. Because you're bad at it. Quit.
Yeah.
No,
I think
anyway,
Josh.
it feels excessive. It's not like he's a 13-year-old cussing for the first time.
Right.
But it does feel excessive. It's over the top. It is kind of that hardcore. That's what they do a lot in hardcore. But I don't know. Because overall, the lyrics of this band is not like, again, a 13-year-old writing down F this, F that.
Well, and I think that's
song. I'm going to do that.
That was another thing that I said to Josh was like it'd be one thing if it's like if they were doing this all along, but it just seems kind of out of left field because when he was in the band for those 2 albums previously, Cover Your Tracks and Beauty and the Breakdown, it's like it wasn't like this. This is like over the top, and I think he put it. You and I have talked about it a lot, and we agree that the deal of like emotions and just like forcing it or whatever. But I think he put it very, very. I think he said it very well. Of when you say something like that, it's one thing, but when you say it over and over and over and over and over, and the more you say it, the more gravity that is lost in the word.
Right. Absolutely.
And so it just becomes very hollow, and it's like, okay, what are we doing, man? So I don't know, man. That's I was like, man. But anyway,
there's also a little bit of a formula to this album, as far as like almost every track, not every single track. Again, this is my broad brushstrokes. There's this soft or background noise kind of intro to these songs.
Happy Tree.
And then it moves into like the hardcore chugs and breakdowns for 2 to 3 minutes. And almost every one of these songs hits that in a way or two.
So you think they went too far back to their roots? If that makes sense?
It just felt like
they dumbed it down.
They took the structure from here and they took the hardcore from over here and they tried to use both.
Okay.
And I just don't know that it turned out as well as I could have hoped for.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not the worst album I've ever heard for sure.
Right, yeah.
But it's not one I'm going to go back to because I have issues with the overall of it. It's not the sweet spot like we talked about.
Right.
We do get I feel like it's slightly better in the EP, but this is coming from a guy who kind of likes metalcore more than hardcore. So there's that. I did notice in there they added in some dubbed highs in the screams. That was pretty sick. I kind of liked that actually, with the low lows and the highs kind of stacked on it like that.
And I think that was one of
always been a really sick sound. I like that.
Yeah, that was one example that Josh was saying. Yeah, I think they are leaning more towards metalcore in this album because you just don't see that in hardcore.
More of a metalcore guy. So
I don't know. I don't really want to speak for him. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was just like, okay, this is a little bit of a change. Of course, I think by that point I was kind of like, what are we going to do for the future here? Not trying to, pass by this if you're not done talking about the album, but I'm just kind of like, I mean, you lost your vocalist again this past year, probably in just the last couple of months, I think. And so you're down to like 3 guys, and only one of them is a founding member. I don't want to say he's been there from, for the entire time because he hasn't. He's come and gone a lot.
Right.
But like, I'm kind of like, okay, what are we going to do? Because are we going to put out an album or what? Because you don't even have a vocalist, so are we making a go at this thing? Or are we just going to say, hey, we're going to cover losses, So I think I was kind of like passing by the whole like sound change on the EP for just like, okay, what's the future though?
Yeah.
Especially now, if he's gone, the vocalist is like, are you going to go try to find a metalcore type vocalist or, I don't know.
I think that's kind of the way they're leaning, and I don't know. Again, I don't know what they're doing as far as if they get another vocalist, what they will do with that. But even the guitars were sounding a little more metalcore-ish, that melodic.
Right.
There's just certain sounds. I don't know that I can describe them offhand, but there was a time or two that made me think of like Ghost Inside type, very
Okay.
metalcore type.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
The flavor, you know.
The flavor. Taste the rainbow.
Mhm.
Skittles.
The beatdown rainbow.
The beatdown rainbow. Taste my fist. Ugh. Alrighty. We're at the end of the episode here, Eric, and as always,
We're devolving.
I like to ask you what some of your favorites are from Bury Your Dead. Albums, songs, lyrics, riffs, artworks, galore. Take us away.
So
take my breath away. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Let's see. Oh, album. Sound. The sound of the album.
Yes.
That I like. Yes, that one.
Thanks, album.
It's honestly pretty close between Beauty and the Breakdown and Cover Your Tracks. Today, right now, at this very moment, I think I'm leaning towards Beauty and the Breakdown. It is a pretty close call for me. Yeah. I do like both of them, though.
I think all three of us are in the same boat again, buddy. Come on.
It's a pretty close call between the two, and this very moment, I'm kind of leaning more towards Beauty and the Breakdown. You ask me later tonight, I might be leaning the other way. I don't know, because it is a very close call.
Right.
As far as album artworks go, again, I might have to go with Beauty and the Breakdown. It's a very
fairy tale look.
Yeah,
storybook type
it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
That last one, the one that's kind of got the red look to it, Mosh and Roll.
Oh, Mosh and Roll, yeah.
It reminded me, was it a Iron Mask, I think?
Oh, yeah, or I think it's Iron Gag.
Iron Gag,
A Life Once Lost. Yeah.
Yes. I was like,
what a weird album.
Is that the same artwork? Like, no, it's not. It's not the same artwork. I looked it up.
Yeah.
But it just, the similar colors, the similar kind of stuff going on. I don't know. It just kind of made me think of that. But
okay.
I like bright colors, I guess. Look at my bright color Christmas tree. But
with a black star on top.
Absolutely.
I just noticed the black star. That's funny. Oh boy.
So lyrics.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's see. What did I pull that from? Oh, camo is my favorite color.
Ooh.
Fancy. So tonight, let's go out and show these kids how we do this. Out on your dancing shoes. It's time to rock. Going to hardcore dance in the middle of the showroom. I will say, as far as words go, hardcore dancing, guys, at a hardcore show is cool. You do your thing. But if you come to like a punk rock show, go home. Just don't come.
Shots
find
fired.
yourself up in a corner.
Oh my.
If you want to be there, just well, the music might move you, but it moves you ugly. I'm sorry.
Do one that everybody can agree on. The Squidward.
Yeah, that's always fun.
It's always fun, man. And everybody loves that. It'll make them laugh. Do it in their face.
It is so much fun.
Hey, man, you got to get out of here.
The hardcore dancing is, like I said, for a hardcore show. What was that show I went to? Mugshot. Mugshot's pretty West Coast hardcore. They're kind of breakdown core. But there was hardcore dancers. I mean, they were in the pits doing hardcore dancing. Cool. I mean, it's kind of a hardcore show. I expect that. But, I go to something like, I don't know, what was a bad one? I don't know. There wasn't necessarily hardcore dancing going on, but, I go something like, I don't know, When the Clock Strikes is a very,
I was about to say, I get what you're saying. I mean, because
post-hardcore or punk rock type.
It has to be a certain beat, right? I mean, you got to feel
you
it
would
with
think
the beat
so.
to do that. That's how I
But
feel.
some of these guys
Of course,
don't. Anyway,
I
shots
was about to say,
fired. That's what I'm
usually
saying. You
just standing
people
there listening to the music anyway and getting set lists from the band. So
trying to anyway. Yeah, give me.
guitars right in my face. Ah.
That was a good show too.
Gimme.
Anyway, but let's see here. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind hardcore dancing. I didn't actually mean to put that in there as a note, but it came to mind. And
Oh,
that's what we
he's
have to do
regretting it
today.
now.
But put on your dancing shoes. I don't mind your hardcore dancing. Just do it over there. Because the wild swinging, I don't want to catch one of those.
Yeah.
That being said, going into favorite songs. You ready for that?
3, right?
3.
All righty. Number 3.
I have to go with Camo as my favorite color. Because it is a fun song. And it is
Camo is also his favorite color.
It's hunting season in Oklahoma.
Yeah, there you go.
We're all
man.
dressed in camo.
I had a feeling that was part of it.
But I mean, it's part of that culture too, that hardcore culture. There is that.
Yeah.
That's why they call it hardcore dancing. They're flailing about fists and it's just part of it. Anyway, number 2.
Number 2.
Magnolia off of Cover Your Tracks.
Oh, wait. Was that, maybe that's the first track on.
Is it Magnolia?
Well, let's see. Nope, Top Gun. Never mind.
Yep.
So I got the need for speed.
And number 1.
Number 1.
Oh, Wishing Well.
Oh,
Beauty and the Breakdown.
Well. Very nice. Very, very nice, Eric.
Those are just a couple of. There's one from those albums that kind of the best era, in my opinion. That's kind of one from each album that I liked quite a bit. You could probably go into Beauty and the Breakdown, find top 3 right there out of it.
More, yeah. Okay.
But I kind of went with one from each album that was pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
Because this is all pretty new to me still. Because I didn't listen to these guys until very, very recently.
Right, and you're not, like you just said, you're not much into the hardcore. So
right, I'm still kind of a baby in the hardcore too. I listened to a couple.
He's a
bands
hardcore
here
baby,
there, but I'm a little hardcore baby. But yeah, I mean, hardcore dance. Yeah.
A baby that can hardcore dance. Mm-hmm.
Hardcore.
All right, yeah. Closing thoughts, Eric, from you about the band known as Bury Your Dead.
If you like hardcore, breakdown core, or sometimes, metalcore, give it a shot. I would say best era is those first 3 albums. I'll put that in there in the hard words right there. It's kind of an oldie but a goodie. If you're already into the genre, you probably like it. Go out and listen to it again. They need more monthly listeners. Maybe just a history lesson for you. Go listen to the original podcast.
There you go, man. And history of the course.
Before the after hours, there's the hours.
And then come back and listen to the after hours again.
Absolutely. And again and again. We're always here for you.
And again. Yeah.
So I would say for the most part, this is more of a too many hardcores. Hardcore in general is probably for more experienced listeners of the cores. It's not going to be like, you know what, I like Taylor Swift and I think I need to expand my horizons. What's cool? Hardcore? That sounds fun. That's probably not the jump you're going to make. But
you might. But more than likely you're
my
not.
doubts are there. But anyway, probably not the band to cut your teeth on as far as the core genres go. But, if you already like, different things like that, give them a shot. Why not? They're here. Go for it. I will say starting place, as close as I am on the 2, probably go ahead and go with Beauty and the Breakdown.
Okay. Yeah, I think
you are going to give this band a shot. Beauty and the Breakdown is probably your spot.
I think that's what we were both saying too. It's probably their most accessible. Because you're starting to kind of lean towards, again, that little bit of a melodic, but you're still keeping that hardcore. So I think it's a good, I think it's a good starting spot. So, Nice. We all three agree on a lot of things today. We made a lot of progress between the three of us today.
We did.
Eric.
Look at us
We
go.
did good. We're grown men. We've got
Sometimes.
jobs. Anyway, yeah, sometimes. I don't know. Have you seen our recent episodes? We're not grown men on those. We are children. Alrighty.
Cambria?
Coheed and Cambria. Let's get on out of here, Eric.
Cambria.
Yeah, check it out. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurviveByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We've already mentioned it several times, and we're going to mention it again. There's the History of the Chorus podcast, the pop-pop of this very podcast right here. We came from its loins.
Da-da?
Oh, God. I don't know you. Yeah, that's where me and Josh sit down. We take a band from the core genre. We check out the history, the discography, and the numerous, sometimes endless member changes. So, yeah, check that out. That way, if Gene Simmons catches you on the street and he says, "Who's in that band, Coheed and Cambria?" You can be like, "Oh, I know, bro. It's oh, God.
Claudio, that guy.
Claudio Sanchez." I would totally break for a second there. Yeah. And then you can just say, "Ooh, face, Gene," and then keep on walking. Yeah. And then we also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons, and eventually the movie of the BBC/Netflix hit show, The Peaky Blinders. We also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which has covered season 1, season 2, and eventually season 3 of HBO's House of the Dragon. And in summer 2025, we'll be covering HBO's season 1 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. So be on the lookout for that. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And there we go. You want to listen to us and see our smiling faces. Head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survive By Productions. That'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel and do what Eric's doing. Thumbs up this video. Alrighty, until the next episode where we're talking about the band Between the Buried and Me, and we'll get to see how much time Eric has wasted listening to music on Spotify this year. Yeah, we'll get Eric's Spotify wrap on the next episode as well, and we'll talk about the band Between the Buried and Me. But until then, we'll see you.